know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
Yes, people. We're back in the building. We're back in the building. As you guys can see, scrolled across the bottom, we're on the road to 300 actually, should I say, subscribers. So please, guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the video. Make sure if you're just tuning in, make sure you like the video. Please, it will help tremendously. So obviously, as you guys can see, name of the title, Wolves in sheep clothing. Wolves versus Liverpool on the weekend. Liverpool obviously going down 3-0 to Wolves. Where do we even begin, man? Where do we even begin? You know, from start to finish, to be honest with you, barring a 25 minute spell in the second half, I can't even say poor anymore. We're just used to this now. We're totally used to this. The way that Liverpool have been playing this season, the inconsistencies, the performances of certain players, you know, the manager. Obviously, we'll get onto that in a second. But, you know, like I said, man, from top to bottom, it's just been an absolute shit show. I really don't even know where to even begin with this one, to be honest with you. I think the best way to probably really start it is, you know, when we go through the lineup. Obviously, Klopp going tried and tested 4-3-3, coming up against a 4-4-2. I mean, I don't expect anything different, to be honest with you. So I guess it's just one of those kind of things. Obviously, had the midfield three that everyone's been, you know, gagging for in Thiago, Bajcetic, and Keita. Then up front, he had Cody Gakpo, Darwin Núñez, Mohamed Salah again. Obviously, we know Mohamed Salah. He's been, he's just been so poor. Like honestly, so poor. I've tried my hardest. He's like, everyone knows, you know, that's my guy. You know, that's one of my favorite players. But there's only so much that I can continue defending him. To be honest with you, you know, we've now reached a stage whereby, you know, I know Mo Salah, you know, in terms of, you know, he'll go through, you know, parts of the season where, you know, he has this, like, I always say this, he always has like an 8 to 10 game spell where he's just really poor, or, you know, might not score. And, you know, it's like a purple patch, but the reverse, you know, the reverse of that. And I'm always saying, yeah, you know, when it comes to him, you know, he just has that in seasons, you know, he has that in seasons, but, you know, outside of that, you know, he will still remain the team's, you know, top goal scorer and, you know, all of these kind of things, which he still does. You know, goals and assists this season, he's still top of the charts, as I expect. He is the only one I do expect to be at the top of those kind of charts, above anyone else. Everyone else has either been injured or Darwin Núñez. Again, Darwin Núñez on the weekend. Yeah, 2 good chances that I can remember. One of them, yeah, maybe. The second one, I think, yeah, you could probably say, yeah, a bit of, not so easy. It wasn't a clear-cut chance as that. The first one, I felt, yeah, he's got to be scoring that. We could talk about angles. We can talk about, you know, we could talk about a lot of things as to why he didn't score. But the reality is, most strikers are putting that in the back of the net. You know, I'm not saying he's got to be a Harry Kane or Haaland or anything like that, but, you know, these are the kind of chances that you just got to put him back at the net, man. Like constantly, all the time, missing. And it's just like, you know, Liverpool fans are spending so much time trying to defend the reasons why he's not scoring. And I'm like, the fact that you're having to do that is telling you something. Like, it tells you that clearly this is not a good player. Well, this isn't a good finisher at the bare minimum, you know. We keep looking at, you know, he's got, I mean, I looked at his goal scoring record at the last season at Benfica. I thought, you know, we're getting in someone who knows where the back of the net is. It doesn't look like it at all. It looks like he's allergic to the back of the net. It looks like he doesn't even want to score goals half the time, you know, or he's trying something completely different than what he actually needs to do to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, I don't seem to understand as to why this guy keeps getting put through on goal on such a consistent basis. And it's just too many excuses. And I think I'm just getting tired of the pure excuses. Oh, but he's in the right place. Oh, he causes chaos. Oh, he does this. He does that. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to see my team spend, 65 million plus on a player who I'm having to make an excuse for. I should make zero excuses. He should be one of the best players in the team. I expect him to have the team on his back, regardless of how the team is doing. A bit like Mo Salah. Like I said, with Mo Salah, it's the exact same thing. I expect so much more. I expect more from Mo Salah than I would of Nunes. Of course, Nunes just came. It's a new team, and all of these kind of various different things. Totally understandable in that sense. But again, I'm still looking at Nunes, and I'm saying, I mean, we're not saying you've got to be scoring from outside the box in the corner on the edge of the 18-yard. Like, these are just through on goal, put the ball in the back of the net. You're shooting straight at the keeper, and your technique for some of the shots that you're taking, and I'm just like, bro, like, I'm bored of hearing the excuses. I think that's what makes it even more sadder for me, is that all I'm realistically hearing is excuses as to why the guy cannot finish. I'm not hearing anybody mention, anything about his actual finishing. It's, it will come in time. It won't come in time. Those kind of, it doesn't just come in time. You either got it or you don't, kind of thing. Very rarely have I seen many strikers who start out really crap and all of a sudden turn into this deadly beast, of a striker. To be honest with you, you might be someone who can get you a few goals. Maybe that's what Nunes is, but yeah. But again, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, the defeat was on Nunes. But it doesn't help when you've got players who just don't seem to want to put the ball in the back of the net. Gakpo had one of his better games, but I'm still confused as to what he realistically would I say bring to the team. Klopp spoke about this kind of connector. Plays Gakpo there. Linda's spoken about, him being the missing link and things like that. It's so difficult because I'm not trying to tarnish him. I'm not trying to, belittle him in any such way. I'm not trying to, he just came at the end of the day. And as I said, he's coming to a team who are atrociously poor. So, of course, it's not going to necessarily look good from the jump. I mean, I totally get that. But I am struggling to kind of see what you do bring, in a general sense, to be honest with you. Are you someone who we're going to rely upon for goals? People speak about his record at PSV, but he does not look like that same type of player. Again, I know the team is in crappy form and stuff like that, but ultimately these are players that we are going to be using for the future. Like, so I've got to see something. I have to see something, because you can't expect me to back someone who I'm not seeing anything, but I'm just going to blindly back them because they play for Liverpool. No, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Show me something, and then you'll get that support regardless. I'm not saying you've got to be a Luis Diaz when you walk through the door. I'm not saying you got to be a Mo Salah in his first season. I'm not saying you got to be a Mane or all of these kind of very Van Dijk or anything like that. I'm just saying you got to show me something. You got to show me something that kind of then tells me, okay, you know what? This is what he's good at. This is what he does. I can see it, when the team's, gelling a bit more, blah, blah, blah. I'm not seeing anything. I really don't even see it. So then I'm sitting there kind of looking at it and thinking to myself, all right, cool. Maybe we can do this with him. For me, he's a squad player. Unless all of a sudden he just hits this crazy rich vein of form and stuff like that, I don't see him as a starter for this team. I think good option from the bench, kind of. But, when the team is back to its full fitness and firing on all cylinders, then, yeah, on the bench for me, to be honest with you. Midfield were non-existent. It's like they weren't. It's weird because I don't feel like they were that crap. I've seen the midfield play a lot worse than I did on the weekend, 100% in many a game this season. But it's almost like, again, they just weren't really offering anything going forward, going defensively, they were nowhere to be seen at times. And, Thiago, watching Thiago, in the middle, it's weird. It's so weird. Now, people think, oh, yeah, you're picking on Thiago. Of all the players, he's this, he's that, and blah, blah, blah. Thiago is a luxury player. He's a luxury player in a team that can afford luxury. At this present moment in time, Liverpool can't afford that luxury. What's happening, I feel, is that we're getting into a situation whereby at the end of the day, your only other options are Fabinho and Hendo. So Thiago's going to play regardless because I'd rather see him over those two. And Klopp seemingly seems like he would rather see him over those two. Totally understandable. But I just think with his qualities, his skill set, it does not fit what this team even needs first and foremost. And Klopp isn't even using him correctly. At the end of the day, Klopp should have seen, the notebook, should have seen how, they used him at Bayern Munich, should have seen the positions he was playing in, for Barcelona and stuff like that. And I thought then the fact that he's now obviously the age that he's come to the football club, I thought, okay, when he gets here, Klopp's going to maybe mold all of that together and have a little bit of industry. I still expect a little bit of industry, of course. That's Klopp's team, that's Klopp's makeup. But I'm also expecting the guile. I'm expecting a player who can control the game. I'm expecting someone to pick up the ball from the defenders and, be passing the ball, popping the ball about, but I don't expect him to be really doing up slide tackles and, doing all of this doggy work. And I'm just like, well, why is he doing it? I understand, cool, if no one else is doing it in that midfield, it does then become a thing of, well, someone's got to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be even worse than it is now, which I find hard to believe anyway. But, I just think that the whole, the aesthetics are what people are looking at when it comes to Thiago. And again, he wasn't the worst. He definitely wasn't the worst in that middle. I'm not saying he was, but I've been watching him now for time now, and I'm just not that thoroughly impressed. Do you get what I mean? Like I feel like we are, again, excuses. It's oh well, who else, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, just because he is better than what's happening at the moment, that doesn't mean that he is that good. I'm not seeing it at all with Thiago. What I'm seeing is aesthetically, he is the best player. That's it. Performance-wise, I'm not really noticing it that well. Bajcetic, even looking at Bajcetic's performance, up against Wolves, 12 ground duels, only won 5 of them, less than half. He won his only aerial duel, lost the possession 11 times, fouls 1, got fouled 3 times, only made 2 tackles in the game, 1 interception. Doesn't scream to me, again, a good performance. For some weird reason, I saw a lot of people saying that he played good. I was like, that's why that's why I used the stats, because the stats, for me, it's sometimes, look, of course, you watch the game and the eye test will tell you most anyway, because at the end of the day, you're watching the game, etc., etc. And the eye test will obviously inevitably tell you, nah, watch it for real, because there were moments, if you see the positions he's taken up and blah, 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 all these kind of like different things that you won't necessarily get from the stats. And I totally, hear that. But when I was listening to everybody else speaking, fans and, content creators and stuff like that, and they were talking about how good he was, and I was a bit baffled. I was thinking, Bajcetic. I thought he was kind of dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually thought he was kind of dead. I wasn't. Thiago was better, in my opinion. Didn't really think that he was that good. I think that was, for me, probably like even Klopp mentioned it, and that's why I was a little bit confused. Maybe just for the confidence thing, and I get it. He's 18 years old. He's in a midfield with a bunch of men who should be performing better, who should be leading that midfield, especially over you. And he did play better than a Fabinho probably would have played and stuff like that. But, who obviously Fabinho left out the squad. But I wasn't feeling that performance. Keita, the same thing, wasn't really feeling that performance. I just think, like, with the standards being so low at this team and in this club right now, it's any little thing, like the tiniest thing, it just gets shot up. Oh my goodness, this was fantastic, and this was amazing, and no, really, no. For me, that don't wash. That them kind of thing there, it doesn't wash, because you can't be letting your standards slip so low that we just accept the bare minimum from like most of these players. And again, it's not all on Klopp, by the way. As much as I will get onto Klopp soon, it's not all on him. At the end of the day, ultimately the players are shouldering a lot of this blame as well. You know, they are performing absolutely atrociously. A lot of these players don't even look like they want to be here. And if they don't, they know where the door is. They know where the door is, man. But hey, no one is forcing you, and no one's going to care if you leave. Do you get what I mean? If you leave, all right, cool. See you later, man. Thank you for everything you've done. The door's that way. No one's going to bat an eyelid at all. Like, let's stop pretending like, you know, it's going to be some madness if you leave the door. If you don't want to be here, especially if you do not want to be here, again, please, do you know where the door is? Let's get some players in, you know, because we're seeing the youngsters come in and performing well because they've obviously got something to prove, you know, beginning of their careers and things like that. You know, Ben Doak, when he plays, looks quite lively. Obviously, by Cechich, obviously coming in for Fabinho, Harvey Elliott, obviously playing well, or better than everyone else, especially in that midfield. You know, I'm seeing it too. That's three youngsters. Carvalho, he tries a lot. Obviously, he hasn't really been performing that well, but he does try quite a lot. You know, I'm seeing it too much with a lot of these young players, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, cool. Well, if you Salah, or if you Fabinho, or you Hendo, or whoever, like, if you don't want to try and you're not going to be performing better, then cool. Like, you don't want to be here, the door's that way, bro. Yeah, I mean, no one is forcing you to stay. Do you know what I mean? Like what? I'm certainly not going to be Mr. Sentimental and say, oh, no, he's got to stay. No, he doesn't have to stay. Do you know what I mean? He can go. They can go regardless. You know what I mean? We can get players in who really want to fight for the shirt, fight for the badge, and, you know, we can move forward, because at the moment, these players as a whole, these players are not fighting for their team. They're not fighting for the manager. They're not fighting for the club. They're not fighting for the fans. They're not fighting for themselves. They're not doing it. They are not doing it. It's very evident. We've now seen this now. We are in February. We are in February. The excuses are done now. There are no more excuses. Like, all the excuses that everybody came up with, injuries, lack of investment, tired, hungover from the last season, it's gone. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. Not like there is zero excuses for this team right now. Zero. No one can tell me that it's anything to do with a lack of investment, because if you check the lineup again, I'm sorry, but this does not scream a lineup that is lacking investment to play against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Again, let's stop all the pretending. Let's stop all the messing around and stuff like that. That team should be beating Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm sorry. That team should be beating Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't want to hear about your lack of investment crap. Do you know what I mean? Again, excuses. Very easy to give up excuses when your team's not winning. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because if we had that kind of team last season, when we was winning games, even though it was playing crap, when we was winning games, no one will be talking. No one will be saying anything. Do you get what I mean? No one will be opening their mouths to say, oh, but we had what's wrong with it now? The team is absolutely fine. So it's got nothing to do with lack of investment. It's got nothing to do with injuries. It's got nothing to do with being tired. But again, it's all gone. All the excuses have been washed out. I think even Klopp knows that now. I think he mentioned something about that, you know, in regards to, you know, being hungover potentially mentally and all that kind of, like, look, we're in Feb. Get over it. Like, get over it. Professional football players, and you're telling me that they're still hungover from last season? That tells me straight away that these guys are not serious. They are not elite winners. That's what I thought they were trying to be, was elite winners, serial winners, teams, players who knew and understand, like, it's not just the fact that you win one or you go close in, you know, in another season. It's about what we do next. That's all that actually matters. No one cares about the last season. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And again, this is the excuses that I think it keeps getting popped around all the time. And I'm like, why is that being allowed as an excuse? We're done. We're in Feb now. Forget all of that. You know, moving on to the defense. What do you even say about the defense, to be honest with you? Matip, you know, I like Matip a lot. I think he's alongside, on his day, I feel like alongside Konate, I feel like they're kind of equal in terms of their ability. One offers you, they both offer you different things. It just really depends on what you're trying to look for in that game. Matip, obviously a better dribbler, someone who can bring the ball out, someone who can pick out a pass, thread the eye of the needle. Konate, big, strong, fast, you know, can defend and all that kind of stuff. Matip can also defend as well, but just not, Konate's just not really good at bringing the ball out. Can have his bozo moments where he clatters in behind defenders and stuff like that. But Matip, Jesus Christ, man, I don't know what he is even on these days. I have zero idea what he is on. He has just complete and utterly just gone. it's like it's just gone downhill, to be honest, for him. Like all of a sudden, you've just turned into this defender who, it is easy. I think Jamie Carragher alluded to this. It's easy when you've got someone like a Virgil who's in his form that he was in, prior to this season, and everything is just nice and easy, and you just need to do the little bits and that. So people don't really notice you when we've got to really rely on you. Now we're having to rely on these guys, and these guys are just looking like bozos, absolute bozos in the back. Like it's just Matip. Like, what are you score an own goal, and then your performance after that was just shit. Like, what were you then doing for? There was a chance that they had, and I think Ali saved it, and it's like, Matip, what are you doing, bro? Gomez does not give you any real leadership back there. Been there for ages. You should be a leader back there, man. You've been here for time, bro. You've been here for time under Rodgers. You was here during them times. In the back there, I expect you to be a leader, man. I expect you to be able to marshal that. Robbo, I expect the same as well. I expect you guys to marshal like that, like the game and everything. And you guys are just, and again, this is why I go back to it all the time. When we're winning, nobody says anything. It just gets swept under the rug, and it's just one of them kind of things, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, I fully hear it and I get it. I fully get it. Like at the end of the day, when you're winning games, why would you pick out the negatives out of wins? You don't see it as a negative necessarily. I said it from last season. Team is playing poorly. It is playing poorly, but we are lucky. We were just lucky in most of these games. Individual brilliance, and to the sheer fact that we just have better players than most of the teams in the Premier League. But the team was coming to a head. I'll be honest with you. Of course, I did not think it would be this bad this season. Of course not. I didn't think we'd be in this kind of state. But I certainly knew that we wouldn't be as good. I had us finishing second. That's how much I rated the team at the beginning of the season. But maybe I underestimated Newcastle's, United's, Arsenal's and stuff like that. More for me, to be honest with you. I've got to sit that. Do you get what I mean? I've got to sit that. So, I'm looking at this team now and I'm just like, you go to the manager and here we talk about, Jurgen Klopp. Klopp on Liverpool situation. There's no excuse. I can't explain it. First 15 minutes were horrible. It needs to be changed. I'm sorry. We just need to change it now. There's no explanation. Change immediately in the next game. And I think, he's been saying this for time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've heard him mention, we need to change things up, next game. It always feels like it's got to be the next game in regards to Liverpool. And that's when supposedly, we'll change things up and things will inevitably get better. And it doesn't seem to have happened at all, this season. I think, as I said, we're now entering into a stage whereby, the team is it's just on its face. I then need the manager of the team to be able to show me something. I need you to do something. I need you to, I don't know, man, pull a rabbit out of a hat. Again, I'm gonna, I'll be doing a video, on this, soon anyway, coming up in the next week, to be honest with you, in regards to, Jurgen Klopp and stuff like that. But I posted a tweet and I said, explain to me how you back a manager who's sitting in 10th, one of the poorest performing teams, one of the worst teams who are playing right now in terms of style of play and everything like that, being outplayed by Brightons, the Brentfords, the Cities, the Arsenals, and the everyone, Uniteds and stuff like that. Very, very sentimental. Took him forever to actually change something. And I think he only did it just purely because it was to keep a lot of people quiet, in the media and stuff like that, but also because he probably came to a point where it was like, maybe it is time now that I start changing things up. Again, can't really ever see his mistakes and things like that. Which I never seem to understand, because at the end of the day, I understand, obviously, look, as fans and stuff, we're going to, look at a player and we're going to be like, oh, we think that this player needs to be dropped for whatever reason, blah, 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 blah. We think that, this needs to happen. And sometimes we can be, a little bit too quick with certain judgments and stuff like that. And I get that. I totally get that. And of course, you as the manager, it's your job to kind of find that level head and that middle ground, of course. So if you don't potentially see it at that, period of time, I get it. I'm not going to get on to you. I'm not going to be like, yeah, this, that, and the third. But, you can't even see us. You actually can't even see us. We are sitting 10th, guys. We are sitting 10th. We're not sitting first, second, or third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth, or seventh, or eighth, or ninth. We are sitting 10th. We are sitting in the middle of the table. Most teams, and I'm not even going to go about the top teams, just most teams in a general sense, if they were Liverpool in the position they have been in, at the bare minimum, there is a conversation to be had, at the bare minimum. But for some reason, in and around this club, there doesn't even seem to be that. And if you even suggest that there needs to be a conversation, Jesus Christ, it's like blasphemy. You get called this. You're not a real fan, is what they say. How long have you supported Liverpool? Over 25 years, by the way. What else is there? You should support your local. You should do this. Have you ever been to Anfield? That's actually my favorite one, to be fair. I really wish I had been able to kind of trademark that in some way, shape, or form, because, as I said, I'd probably buy YouTube at this rate with the amount of money I would have made. It's everything. It's like fans don't want to actually just admit, like, it's all about being wrong and strong at the end of the day. So I guess it's one of those kind of things. And I totally understand. At the end of the day, this is a manager for most individuals who support Liverpool and just people in Liverpool fans in general. This is a guy who, has brought you so much. And I totally get that. I genuinely do understand that. And again, as I've said so many times, I commend him for that. I really, 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 really do commend him for that. Thank you. Well done. You won us the Prem. You've won a Champions League. Amazing. You've been here 7 years. Let's say 4, 5 of those or 4 of those, you've really been like, up there kind of thing. And you've done it. So let's say in 4 years, you've won a Champions League, you won a Premier League. All right, that's cool. What else? What are you doing now? Because, outside of winning the Premier League, after that, we finished third. We have finished second. And now we're on course to finish God knows where. Definitely out of that top 4. I like that would actually be a miracle if we did make a top 4. Like that would probably be one of the biggest miracles that we've had under Jurgen Klopp, to be honest with you. If we were to finish in that top 4. No ideas from the manager. Doesn't know what he's doing half the time. Some of the substitutions are laughable. Comes out in the media, sniping at people. Sniping at reporters. You saw the interaction with James Pearce. Everyone's bloody seen it by now, so it's not a secret. Some of the things he says in the media, people again excuse it. This is why I laugh all the time, because now people are starting to look a bit crazy. You're coming up with excuses for him. Oh, he's just protecting. He's not protecting anybody. What he says is what he means. He doesn't need to protect anybody. What is he protecting? What does he need? He doesn't need to protect the owners. They're big boys. They can protect themselves if they need to. If Klopp was a serious manager, he would have something to say, in no uncertain terms. Protecting his players at all times. That's great when you're building a side who don't know what looking like a title is. Don't know what it's like to win a title, and you're scared if you say the wrong thing, then this might hit. Again, grow up. We are big boys now. We're supposed to be with the big boys. The big boys, they will talk about players. Again, it's just happened. Fabinho is mentioned. So you mean to tell me this whole season has gone by and Fabinho happens to be the one that you pick? Like, there hasn't been a raft of players prior to you deciding on picking on Fabinho at this current moment in time that you then think, yeah. And again, I feel like it's just pure media pressure and stuff like that. And when something has actually slapped him in the face, like genuinely slapped him in the face, he can't even run away, and he's good at that. He's good at running away from really talking about the big things. That's Jurgen Klopp loves doing that. But this, he could not even run away from it, because it's now reached a point where the performances, you can't even back them anymore. You can't even say no, but there's little. Nah, it's done now. Everyone is now witnessing everything that they've been saying for a very, 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 very long time. So it's Look, and I've said it before, and I said I will do a video, on Klopp anyway, and managers and stuff like that. But ultimately, as I said, you know, happy that we had got him in. Felt he was the right manager for us. Um, feel he was the right type of manager for what we needed back then. In terms of being a person who can come in, just rejuvenate the club, bring the club more together, obviously after the last ownership and, everything that kind of went wrong and all of that. Build us back up to a respectable level, which he then did that. People say he's been working miracles. He hasn't, in my personal opinion. I don't think he's been working miracles. I think he's done exactly what I had expected of him during this time. He said he would deliver a title, which I expected him to do. Once you say it, I then expect you to do it. If you don't do it, then you failed. He done that. Let's not forget the team that we had, at that time. So let's not sit here and act like we had Burnley's team. No disrespect to Burnley, but we had some really good players. If you didn't win the league with that team, ultimately I would have just considered you a failure regardless of who you're coming up against, because I felt anybody could have won the league with that team. Not to diminish what he has done, but that team, you have to admit, anyone could have won the league with that team. I'm sorry, might not like hearing it, might sound a little bit whatever, but anyone could have won the league with that team. So I'm not going to blow smoke, up his ass, pause, too much. But yeah, as I said, happy that we've got him in. He's done his remit. The remit was get Liverpool back up to a certain level. That's absolutely fine. He then decided to sign a new contract. I don't think he really wanted to sign that new deal, but I almost felt like he was caught between a rock and a hard place. And it was just more of a case of, I felt like it was a very reluctant new deal that he did sign, to be honest with you. He speaks about his wife in regards to that deal. To be honest, that told me quite a lot, but just with everything that's kind of happened since he signed that deal, with how his demeanor is and stuff like that, the way he's handling press and just all these little things, again, my own personal opinion, I could be completely wrong. But yeah, tactics being stale, doesn't know how to adapt. He mentions that he adapts. He has not adapted. Playing a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-1-2 is effectively playing a 4-3-3, because you're more or less having the players in the same shape than you've always had. They're even kind of doing the same roles as well. So, you can't fool me with that kind of stuff. It's different if he had gone to 3 at the back or 2 at the back and 5 in midfield or whatever. But come on, man, you're patronizing fans, man. And that's what bugs me about him the most. I feel like he does it so much, just very patronizing in his ways. As I said, team doesn't know how to refresh, kept players for too long, which was on him, not FSG. FSG probably did want to let some of these players go a little bit earlier, but I don't think Klopp wanted to do that. Klopp was the reason why we've kept a lot of these players, and then ultimately we can't get rid of them for one reason or another. Can't blame FSG for that. Do you know what I mean? That's all on Klopp. Unfortunately, I know you guys have got the agenda, but that ultimately falls on Klopp. And I just think that we've now reached a stage where the expiry date is now completely expired, and I think that we need to be then looking towards a new manager. We need to look at someone who could take Liverpool to the next level. Klopp has never done that with any team he's managed, in terms of taking them to that next level after getting them to the top of the mountain, which is fine. I've got no problem with that. Every manager comes in to do a specific role. Every manager is going to come in for a specific project. There's only going to be one Sir Alex Ferguson at the end of the day, one Arsene Wenger. So not everyone can do that whole get to the top, can we go again? Klopp can't. For me, he's not the manager to do that, unless he can show, unless we keep him and in the summer he completely revamps it, plays 3 at the back, we start popping it around like Barcelona, then cool. Then hey, he's proved me wrong. If I don't see something along those kind of lines, then I'm not going to be sitting here saying I want to keep this manager here. I don't really care what he does towards the end of this season. I don't care what he does next season. I've not enjoyed the football at this football club for a long time, more or less since he came in, but it brings a level of excitement, which I will agree. It does bring me a level of excitement, or it did bring me a level of excitement when it was in its heyday. But in terms of, is that my personal brand of football? Never, ever has been. I prefer the guile behind the football. I prefer the Pep Guardiolas, the Luis Enriques, the Pochettinos, people of that kind of ilk who like the ball more than they like running. And I think now in Liverpool's team, I do believe we do possess players who prefer to do more ball work than running, but for some reason they're being asked to continue running. Klopp, you've got to see that you are the manager. Again, these are all just my personal opinions. You're not going to agree with this. I know most of you watching this now, you're not going to agree with it. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy the fact that you don't agree with it, because the sheer fact is you don't need to agree with it. Everybody needs to have their own opinions. Everybody's got what they like. We all have different perspectives on football. We've all got a different outlook on football, and all these kind of various different things. And that is absolutely fine. I've got no beef with anybody who wants Klopp in. I understand why you want him in. Like, it really isn't a problem for me. Like, it doesn't actually bug me, in the slightest. My thing is that it's very difficult to speak to people who are so Klopp in that they are more Klopp in than they are Liverpool Football Club. That's where I draw the line. That's where I'm like, well, now we're going too far, because Klopp leaves tomorrow, and what? Liverpool will still be here. They're not going to dissolve. So you don't need to worry, guys. You don't need to worry that it's going to dissolve tomorrow. Like, it will still be standing still. It'll be very, very high, actually, to be honest with you, standing very, very tall. So you don't need to worry. It will still be here. Don't worry about when Klopp leaves, whether that be now, 2026, whenever his contract expires. It will still be here. If that's what you're concerned about. That's what it seems like most of you are concerned about, is that Liverpool are just going to completely dissolve. If that's what you think, then hey, I'm here to tell you factually that Liverpool Football Club will still be here. So don't worry about that. But I think the ones who are Klopp in anyway, they're finding it more difficult game by game, press conference after press conference, to be able to tell me anyway, as to why they believe this manager's got to stay here. As I said, we're we're 10th in the league, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but that's beyond unacceptable. I can't even, like, I don't even understand why you're backing it. That's where I'm so confused. Like, why everyone keeps saying you keep faith in new owners, Klopp will do. How do you know that? Like, everyone's turned into this mystic Meg all of a sudden. Like, how do you know that this guy is just gonna do something amazing, and then all of a sudden, like, we're just gonna be this sick team and blah blah blah? Like, guys, what he's doing now is bullshit. Do you get what I'm trying to say? What he's doing now is utterly crap. So if that's what he's doing now, why would I want him to continue doing utterly crap? Especially if we keep these owners. The only thing that even maybe gets him a bly is that there's the possibility, there's the feeling of the unknown with new owners, because you don't know in terms of, would Klopp really spend money? Do I trust him? No. Do I think he will spend money? I do think he'll spend it. I just don't think he'll spend it correctly. I think he'll do more of the same kind of buys that he does. And the style of football ain't going to change regardless of who he buys anyway, kind of thing, which ultimately I think is one of the main problems at this football club, is that we're still stuck in 2016, 15 when he came here. That worked up to a certain degree. Totally agree. And I totally accept that. It worked up to a certain point. Football moved on dramatically since then. And other teams are now more or less doing exactly what you used to do, but with better players, better coaches, and a better style, because they're able to add a little bit to it. Arsenal's, Manchester United's, Newcastle, Brighton as well. 4 of the teams this season, I feel, more or less play similar to the way Liverpool played in their pomp, just a lot better on the ball. Hence the reason why I feel we need to get someone who could probably do that, but it can work more on the ball possession than anything else. But again, that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, you're not going to agree. We see stats like this, after 19 games in the Premier League per 90 minutes. Last season, 5.95 shots conceded from inside the box, 7.89. This season, 2.37 shots conceded from outside the box. It's now gone up 2.53. Expected goals conceded was 1.07, and again, this is what I mentioned a lot about last season. Again, people think, oh, we were amazing with this, that, and the other. We were still kind of more or less doing the same thing. You've seen it here with these stats here, to be honest with you. Yes, the stats have gone up this season because we are really, really poor. The fact that the stats are like that for last season and they're quite similar to this season, that worries me in itself, because that is literally a clear indication of how poor we actually were, but the performances were masked over by individual brilliance. So yes, of course, I'm not saying we didn't play any good games last season. Of course we did. You know, there was a few good games, a lot more good games, obviously, than there were this season. But these stats do not lie. These stats are showing you, they're telling you exactly what people I think need to hear and they need to see. I'm not saying that, of course, they're not going to be as bad as this season, of course, because this season we are super shit. But if you look at these stats, they are literally showing you that they are quite alarming. These stats are still very, very alarming for last season. Do you get what I mean? And last season was supposed to be this amazing season and etc. etc. But this kind of tells me, oh, do you know what I mean? Maybe we were a little bit off it. You know, clean sheet 0.53. Now it's dropped to 0.26. Goals conceded was 0.84. Now shot up to 1.32. You know, none of this bodes well for the last couple of seasons under Jurgen Klopp. And again, style, tactics, all done and dusted. Hasn't been able to refresh and move on. Where we've been lucky, again, like I said, individual brilliance, your Mo Salahs, you know, Van Dijk pulling out great performance, Alisson pulling out great performances, you know, having Mane last season as well. That definitely did help, and that will play a hindrance this season because his replacement is Darwin Núñez. You know, take from that what you will. So, yeah, look, like I said, I'll do a video on, you know, Liverpool and managers and stuff like that. You know, the game in itself, poor performance. I'm really just used to it. I expected a Wolves win or a draw. I thought that would probably be the best result that we do get. Doesn't really matter what team we're putting out. I know we've got players still to come back. Van Dijk, Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, Firmino as well. Yeah, Firmino as well. Konate obviously to come back. And, you know, these players are good players. You know what I mean? These ones who are missing, you know, they are decent players. But do I think that Liverpool would be in a top 4 battle if all of them were fit? No. They showed that at the beginning of the season, and they've shown it through various parts of the season. No, I don't think that we'd be in a top 4 battle. I believe there are a minimum of 4 teams who have been better than Liverpool this season. So, look, let's just see how the rest of the season goes. Like I said, you know, I'm expecting it. Some of these defeats, we've got Everton, we've got Newcastle, we've got United, I think. I believe we've got maybe Man City, Real Madrid twice. You know, all in our next like 10 fixtures. So, you know, expect a lot more defeats unless something happens along the line. But yeah, I'm just really, really disappointed in the team. Kind of embarrassed now. In regards to Liverpool, you know, I'm really, really embarrassed, you know, with the way that we've been playing and stuff like that. And yeah, man, it's not really a good time to be a Red right now, man. It's not really a good time. But look, that is my reaction video done and dusted. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I respect everyone's opinions. If you guys want to have a debate, you know, I'm always up for it, man. You know what I mean? I never back down. I'll always put my point across and always try to back up with as much facts as I possibly can. So please do the same when we do interact. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you also head over to the Jerry James Show as well. This week, yeah, we should be dropping a few videos this week anyway. It should be an interesting week. Should be a very, very interesting week. And a few topics that I think are going to get touched upon this week. Make sure you're following my guy Ron as well. And yeah, man, I'm G and I'm out, man.